How do you build an effective marathon training and racing rotation? This is a question I see often online, and I will say that it's a little different than just building a general running rotation because you're trying to plan for very specific needs with your workouts and a lot of the long runs that you need to do to prepare for that actual marathon. So this video I'm going to cover how to build a marathon rotation for racing and training for Nike, Adidas, and Asics. Now, I am covering the fall 2023 marathon season and the spring 2024 marathon racing season. And this video will go into summer 2024 a little bit because I plan to come back and update this video in August of every year. So I'm trying to cover a large base. Therefore, some of these rotations will change because there'll be shoe releases. There'll be some things that maybe update what I'm recommending in these rotations, and I will try to call that out wherever I can in this video. So let's go over a few ground rules to keep in mind as you're planning your marathon training and racing rotation. The first one is I'm going to recommend 3 shoe rotations, and I'm trying to show that you don't need an overly complex set of shoes to maximize training, but I'm also not really paying attention to cost. There's a lot of expensive shoes in this video, and I think it's justified for maximizing your training and performance, especially if that race, that marathon you have planned, is a goal race. Second, every shoe in this rotation, how they work together, is meant to have a lot of options and overlap. So I'm selecting shoes that will work well together, complementing one another and supporting one another. And I think that's really important because with a 3 shoe rotation, you need each one of those shoes to have a focus, but also have some overlap so that you can swap them in and out as you need different training stimulus. Third is I'm planning for a 1125 kilometer or about 700 mile average durability, which is about 80 kilometer to, which is about a 50-mile week over a 14-week build. Now, this is very average. Some marathon plans will be 12 weeks, they'll be 14 weeks, they'll be 16, maybe 18 weeks. And if you're a more advanced marathoner, 50 miles may be where you're starting the build. And if you're a beginner marathoner, 50 miles may be sort of where you're ending up in the build. But I'm trying to cover at least this amount of range in these rotations because one of the primary goals of getting through a marathon build is honestly often surviving. And having the durability in your shoes to get through that where you don't need to worry about them, I think is extremely important. And lastly, I am of the mind that your race shoe is your tempo trainer. Spending time in the shoe you plan to race is vital for performance and confidence. I know some people think that they want to save their race shoe for race day, but in my experience with racing, it is much better to spend as much time as you can in it during the build so that you're confident in it, you know it fits well, and you're maximizing your performance because you're used to running in it. So when you get to race day, the performance is there and your confidence is there, and that is extremely important. Next, what types of running do we need to plan for in a marathon build? Now, there's a lot of different plans out there, but all of these plans, or what a coach would put together for you, are fundamentally going to have these 5 types of running. They may be called different things, they may have different priorities in the plan, but they're all going to be here. The first one we need to plan for is really your easy runs. This is your low intensive running. And the rule of thumb that I use for this is that it's 60 seconds per kilometer off of your marathon pace, meaning you don't go faster than that in your easy runs. However, sometimes your easy runs need to be 90 seconds off marathon pace, maybe 120 seconds off marathon pace. It really varies per what you need. Also, recovery runs, I just consider easy runs. So the shoe that will cover this basis will do easy runs and recovery running. The next one will be speed workouts. These are your core sort of short, hard, and fast workouts that build speed. 300s to 3K or 2-mile repeats, threshold pace to probably half marathon pace. And now I do all of my training on the road. I don't train on a track at all anymore. I have in the past, but I don't currently. So all the shoes that I'm recommending in these builds are primarily focused on road running. They will all work on a track, but I'm not covering things like specific track spikes or track flats that will maximize some of these speed workouts. Though in some of these rotations, there are flats that will definitely be a great track option as well. Third would be strength workouts. Typically, these are hill workouts. These are your 20-second to 400 meters sort of uphill bursts, but this should include both uphill and downhill running at probably 5K to marathon pace. I think that downhill running is the thing that a lot of people don't always plan for, but it's extremely important because you're going to build a ton of strength in those types of runs. Next would be your long aerobic runnings. This is your steady running, really 30 to 60 seconds per kilometer off a marathon pace. So our easy running was 60 seconds per kilometer off marathon pace, and you didn't go faster than that. This creates a window between 30 to 60 seconds per kilometer off your marathon pace that you stay within. So this is your steady state running, just your kind of long aerobic efforts. One of the core types of runs you're going to be doing in a marathon build. And lastly, we have our long tempo runnings. These are probably called a bunch of different things. These can be your progression running. These could be called fartleks. These are your big, long, scary runs that will be later in the plan, which are generally going to be a mix of easy running and probably some half marathon to marathon pace with a cool down of easy running. So this would cover all of those sort of longer, harder runs with a lot of faster effort in them. Now, there's 3 categories that I'm trying to cover with the shoes in the rotation. The first one would be your race shoe. This is for racing, the long tempo runs, fartleks, progression running, longer speed workouts. Pretty obvious what this shoe needs to be. Next one would be your fast running. These are going to be for speed workouts, your strength workouts, probably the shorter tempo runnings. And in some cases, this is a good alternative for some daily running. And last will be your daily shoe. This will be all your easy runs, those long aerobic or steady runs, and probably a good shoe to do some of your speed workouts and strength workouts in. And frankly, the daily shoe should be able to cover really anything in the plan. So it should be able to do anything on this page. Now for each brand I'm going to cover in this video, which will be Nike, Adidas, and Asics, there will be 2 types of rotations that I will reference. The first one will be called direct. This is for that runner who prefers a lower stack shoe, maybe likes a little bit more stability and ground feel, and probably comes from older racing flats. The other side of that would be bounce. That's for the runner who prefers a shoe to do more of the work. They want all of that rocker, all of that cushion, and all of that propulsive fill. They just want maximal everything. And I think these 2 categories are really what all running shoe brands are really gearing their lines to, because you have 2 very different types of runners who have 2 very different types of preferences, which is why I'm going to cover both of them in this video. Let's start with the Nike Marathon rotation. For the direct rotation, your race shoe is going to be the Vaporfly 3, your daily shoe is going to be the Pegasus 40, and your fast shoe is going to be the Streakfly. The combination of the Vaporfly and the Pegasus is about as classic as you can possibly get in the super shoe era. Since the launch of the original Vaporfly 4%, the Pegasus, back then it was the Peg 34, has been side by side with the Vaporfly, and they really are designed to work together. Throwing in the Streakfly in this rotation gives you a couple options for a softer shoe for some of the daily running. If you watch any of my Streakfly content, you know that I've referred to the Streakfly as the Invincible Light, where you're getting 75% of the bounce of an Invincible without all the bulk and added weight of actually running in an Invincible. But also the Streakfly is going to be an excellent shoe for some of those speed workouts, and especially those hill workouts, to really complement the Vaporfly in that way. Now, the one thing I'll say about this rotation is that for your race shoe, specifically the Vaporfly, you're probably going to have 2 pairs. Now, we have seen some durability concerns with the Vaporfly 3 for certain runners. Personally speaking, as a 4-foot striker, I am not having any durability issues. In fact, I'm getting better durability in the Vaporfly 3 than I ever did over the Next Percent 1 or 2. But we have all seen the photos and the videos of primarily heel strikers really chewing through the heel of that shoe. So with that in mind, I'm recommending that you actually have 2 pairs of Vaporflies in this rotation. So it's technically actually a four shoe rotation, but you have 2 of the same shoe. The other thing I'll say about ZoomX and especially the Vaporfly is that you're probably going to be putting 150 to 200 miles or about 320K on the upper end into this shoe in training alone. And a Vaporfly at 150 to 200 miles versus a Vaporfly that's either fresh or has, a couple long runs, maybe 30K on it, is extremely different. You can still totally race in the Vaporfly with 200 miles on it. You're going to be totally fine. But if you're trying to really maximize, that really a goal race that you're focused on, having a fresh pair or a lightly broken in pair of Vaporflies is going to be really the option I think you want. So on the other side of this rotation for bounce, you're going to be the Nike runner who wants to race in the Alphafly 2. And therefore, I think your daily shoes could be the Invincible 3, and your fast shoe is actually going to be the Vaporfly 3. Now, that's for two reasons. A, Nike's Tempo offerings are just not that great. The Zoomfly 5 is not a great shoe, and the Tempo is a 3.5-year-old shoe that, frankly, the Vaporfly 3 is a much better shoe. Also, having the Vaporfly 3 and the Alphafly 2 gives you a lot more durability in this rotation, because the Alphafly just has a much greater range as far as durability than the Vaporfly, and the Invincible also has a long range of durability. So you can really be selective to use the Vaporfly 3 for those fast workouts or that faster tempo stuff, because the other thing about the Vaporfly 3 compared to the Alphafly 2 is that you are getting a lot of the bounce and feel in the Vaporfly 3 that you used to only get in the Alphafly. So the two shoes actually work really, really well together now. There's another way you could look at this bounce rotation where you could say the Vaporfly 3 is still your race shoe, but the Alphafly 2 becomes your fast shoe. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this completely because I think you're missing some of that shorter, faster efforts that you're going to end up having to do more of in your race shoe. So I actually think this is the better way of doing it. And honestly, if you're the Nike runner who likes all the bounce, you're probably going to be racing the Alphafly 2 anyway. Now, since this guide is trying to cover into the fall 2024 marathon racing season, there are some significant shoe releases that are still yet to come out, possibly in 2023, but more likely in 2024, that would change the bounce rotation quite considerably. So I am calling this the Bounce 24 rotation, which if you're watching this guide in spring of 2024, even into early summer of 2024, all three of these shoes either should be out or we'll have a lot of detail on a launch date by then. So you're going to want to race in the Alphafly 3. It seems like it's going to be a big upgrade over the Alphafly 2. I expect the Tempo 2 to come out with the Alphafly 3 as the training partner to the Alphafly 3. And then the Vomero 17, actually at the time of the recording this video, which is the first week in August of 2023, is actually starting to release right now. So the Vomero 17 should be the even softer, cushier version of the daily sort of training shoe from Nike. So this will really maximize your bounce rotation. I think it'll make it better than the one that's available right now as of the recording this video. The last thing I'm going to say about Nike is if you look at the Pegasus, I have an asterisk on that because if you are watching this in spring 2024 or beginning to plan for fall 2024 racing, there will be a Peg 41 out, or it should be really short on the horizon at that point. And the Peg 41 should be a significant upgrade and change to the Peg 40. And it will definitely be the one that you want in that direct rotation because it's going to be probably a much better and more modern shoe. Let's move on to the Adidas marathon rotations. So for the direct rotation for Adidas, you're going to be racing the Adios Pro 3. Your daily is going to be the Boston 12, and your fast is going to be the Adios 8. Now, the Adios 8 may seem like an odd choice because I think a lot of people just assume they throw a Takumi Sen 9 in there. But I actually think the Adios 8 is the much better option for a few reasons. One, the way that what the shoe is built on is very similar to the Adios Pro 3. So it has a wider forefoot and a narrower heel. So you're going to get a lot of that, getting your foot used to sort of that rotation and how that kind of shoe feels on your foot. Also, the Adios 8 is an exceptional daily trainer. So if the Boston 12 is a little too much shoe for whatever easy run you want to go out and do, and you just want something more direct and lower to the ground, the Adios 8 is going to be an excellent option for that. Additionally, I think the Adios 8 is an exceptional hill workout shoe, and it's great on the track for speed workouts. Now, the other thing here is that, and this is a little tricky for Adidas, is that every shoe in the Adidas Adi Zero line, which is their performance running line, has carbon rods, carbon plates, or carbon infused rods, or sometimes just nylon rods. There is rods or plates in every Adidas shoe except for the Adios 8. Even though the Adios 8 has the Energy Torsion 2.0 system, which is a shank on the bottom of the shoe, it's not in the midsole, it's on the bottom. The Adios 8 is going to be your best option to still have a somewhat natural flexing shoe, which is kind of actually rare for Adidas. So for bounce in Adidas, you are definitely going to be the runner who wants to race in the Prime X2 Strung. That shoe, as of the recording of this video, is rolling out across Adidas online and in a lot of stores in different countries, including the US and England right now. So you're definitely going to be probably the runner who wants to race in that shoe. I think your daily shoe is still the Boston 12, and your fast shoe, like Nike, is honestly going to be the Adios Pro, because that is one of the best tempo running shoes that's available in this entire video. It is a great shoe for that. Now, you see a lot of slashes and asterisks on this. So there is a lot of unknowns right now about the future of the Adios Pro. Is there going to be a 4? Is there not going to be a 4? There's a lot of so-called leaked photos of Adios Pro 4s. Also, Adidas has said that they killed the Adios Pro 4, so there's versions of the Adios Pro 4 that were shown at the running event in Austin last fall. Those are the sort of turquoise and orange versions you may have seen. That shoe has definitely been killed. But recently, there's been some new shoes labeled Adios Pro 4 that have a different upper on them that looks very different from that shoe from last fall. Also, there has been a Adios Pro 3 that's been released that has a different upper on it. It's the same upper, same design, same problems actually. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with the Adios Pro 3, I did a whole video on that upper. I'll put a link in the description if you're interested in that. So the bottom line with the Adios Pro is currently the 3 is the shoe that's out, but there may be a 4, unknown. The thing is that the 4, if there is one, it's just going to be, it looks like it's just going to be an upper change. It should be a better upper. It should solve some of the massive problems of the upper in the Adios Pro 3. But it's going to be the same excellent midsole, same excellent outsole. So if you have the 3 and it works for you, the 4 may not be the shoe you need to go for, but if the 4 is out, you may want to go for the 4. So a lot of unknowns around the Adios Pro. Also, if you're watching this and planning for a spring 2024 marathon, the Boston 13 should be out at this point. But honestly, the Boston 13 is probably also just going to be an upper update on top of the 12. So it's gonna be the same midsole, same outsole, just an upper change. So it should be the same shoe. And the Prime X2 Strung also, while it is rolling out right now, there have been some minor design changes to it recently from what was previewed about 4 weeks ago versus what we're actually seeing released online and in stores right now. So there could be some further changes to the Prime X2 Strung. It's unknown at this point. So there's a lot of unknowns with Adidas at this point, but wherever that shakes out, it's going to be one of these shoes for either one of these rotations for you. And lastly, let's talk about Asics' marathon rotations. So for direct, you're going to be a Meta Speed Edge Plus racer. Your daily is actually going to be the Cumulus 25, and your fast shoe is going to be the Hyperspeed 3. This is probably about as direct of a rotation as you can get in this entire video. Now, if you like the Metaspeed Edge Plus, the reason I'm recommending the Cumulus 25 as your daily, instead of say what I think a lot of people would assume being the Nova Blast 3, is I think the Cumulus is a little bit more of a traditional ride. It's a little bit firmer, and it's a little bit more of a workhorse of a daily trainer. that I think if you like a more direct shoe, that's going to be the shoe for you. Same with your fast shoe. The Hyperspeed is as old school racing flat as you can possibly get. I don't have a Hyperspeed 3 yet because they're actually hard to find here in the country that I live in. But I spent a lot of time in the Hyperspeed 1, which was a rebirth of the shoe that's been the Asics line forever. The Hyperspeed is a great shoe. It's a shoe that you're going to love for all of your workouts, for track workouts. It may be the best track workout shoe in this entire video. It is an exceptional shoe that you're going to pair with these two other shoes. Now, for your bounce rotation, you're going to be a Metaspeed Sky Plus runner. And your daily shoe is going to be the excellent Super Blast. And your fast shoe is going to be the excellent Magic Speed 3. Now, this I think is the marquee Asics rotation because you're getting all the best of FF Turbo foam with the right sort of engineering and the right sort of carbon plate layout in the Metaspeed Sky Plus. The Super Blast is capable of really everything in this rotation. In fact, you could do a third rotation here that's literally just the Super Blast. Done. You need one shoe. That is how good the Super Blast is. With zero compromises, you could do all of your training and racing in that one shoe and get through it with all the durability. And then the Magic Speed 3 is just an exceptional classic tempo trainer that is just great to complement the versatility of the Super Blast and all of the top end performance and FF Turbo of the Metaspeed Sky Plus. Now, with the Metaspeed series, it's unknown whether there'll be a new version of it above the Plus version, so whether it'll be called a 2 or 3. There'll definitely be one. It's just unknown when it will come out. There's been nothing from Asics about when it will come out. So for the fall 2023 marathon racing season, we may see it. For the spring 2024 marathon racing season, I think we probably will see it. So if there is a Metaspeed Edge and Sky 3, it also could be labeled 2. The naming convention for the Metaspeed series seems like all over the place right now. That's probably going to be the one you want. Also, with the Super Blast, for the fall 2023 marathon racing season, the Super Blast is the shoe that you're probably going to want if you want this bounce rotation, but the Super Blast will either be replaced with something else in the Asics line, or there could be a Super Blast 2. We have heard from Asics that they never plan to release a Super Blast 2, so it's really unknown what that shoe is, but the fundamental sort of technology of what that shoe is not going to go away. It just may become something else. So we will see, and it's completely unknown when that would happen, but it probably will not be for the fall 2023 marathon racing season. Magic Speed 3. That could also significantly change for the spring 2024 marathon racing season. There may be a Magic Speed 4. There may not even be another Magic Speed. We'll have to see with that. I'm actually going to do a video in about a week or so that's going to talk about the Super Blast and the Metaspeed series, and I think where Asics is going with all of that, which I'll go into much more detail about all these changes. But just know, if you're watching this later into 2024, there could be some significant changes in the Asics line. And lastly, with the Cumulus 25, we have now seen the Nova Blast 4. We know exactly what that shoe will be, and I'm not going to put the photo in this video because it's a leaked image, but it essentially is the silhouette of the Nimbus 25 with the forefoot of the Nimbus 25, but with the midsole sort of origami flare in the heel that the Nova Blast has already had. And it looks like it's a more toned down, probably daily trainer version of a Nova Blast. And if that is the case, that's probably going to replace the Cumulus for the daily in the direct running rotation. So that was a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff to go through here, but I'm hoping that through these 3 brands, I give you enough sort of framework and ideas about how to look at any other running shoe brand and really build the rotation that you want to build. Now, I know there's going to be 2 questions in the comments, and the first one's going to be, what is the ultimate build? You know, if I combined these shoes to create the ultimate build, what is it? And then the second question is going to be, what am I actually going to be racing in? Well, I am making a follow-up video to this, which will be a first part of a series that I'm going to do around my marathon training and build. That will launch the next video on this channel. And in that video, I'm going to go in depth into the shoes I am using for my build. And I will begin to start to answer what I think the ultimate marathon build may be. So if you're interested in that, stick around, subscribe. You'll see that video pop up in your feed. And otherwise, let me know any additional questions and comments you have down in the comments, and I'll try to get back to all of them as always. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. If you like this content, subscribe. You'll see more content like this pop up in your feed. If not, drop a like on this video because it helps this channel continue to grow, which I always appreciate. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one.